FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
So I want to go through a little bit about what I went through. So for example, nonsense number one, poor countries are under-resourced. I don't think so. For example, time. Time is a very important resource. I was wasting time. That's an important resource the country is wasting. Okay? So while everybody tells me the poor countries are poor because they don't have resources, the interesting tragedy is the poor countries are poor because whatever resources they do have, they waste them. Time is one of them. Another is people. So for instance, if I am a person in Bangladesh, in order to do anything productive, I need to connect with other people. So if I'm trying to connect with them, otherwise I cannot use my fellow countrymen. So if I want to connect with them, that's another important resource. And there are many, many others that are wasted. So the poor countries are extremely wasteful. Nonsense number two, poor people lack buying power. Why? Why do we worry about that? If this is a productivity tool, then it will make me produce more and able to pay for it. So for instance, in the United States, we buy a car, putting a little bit of money down. Then we take a loan. The car, I take a car home. The car takes me to work. The work pays me a salary. And then the salary allows me to pay for the car. So the car actually pays for itself. It's because it's a productivity tool. So if a telephone is a productivity tool, we shouldn't worry so much about the existing buying power. We should worry about whether they are going to make us productive or not. Okay. Nonsense number three. You need to start with money to make money. Okay, fine. You have to put a little money down to get a phone, to get a, let's say, a car. But again, if we have a shared access, then that can be broken down into smaller pieces. In fact, telephones started out in the United States as a community-based device. Nonsense number four, for example, inability to meet primary needs. People were telling me there's shortage of food, there's a shortage of clothing, shelter, medicine, whatnot. But again, these are like the top-down big brother thinking. Why do we worry about that? Income is the ability. If people have better income, they can use their brains. By the way, these brains are another important resource that are wasted, okay? Because they're not utilized. Somebody is trying to make a decision for everybody, okay? And so that too is a resource that needs to be put to use. And that brain gets activated when it produces more, when its income is higher to the owner of the brain. So again, income is the ability. It's not the inability of having other needs, because they can buy food, medicine, and whatever. But the real problem, of course, these things we can sort out in our heads. But the real problem, must be some other real problem on the ground. And I felt centralization was the problem. Namely, because there is one city which had all the infrastructure, electricity, and banks, and whatnot, if you try to take the phones, even if Moore's law and others says that it will become cheaper and cheaper and you can take it all over the country, there is very little other infrastructure to take it to there. That's the real problem. Centralization stood in my way. So, for instance, if you want credit checks, the ecology is not there. There is no service to tell me who would be a good subscriber, who would not be. There are few banks through which customers could pay bills. The contact points, these things are lacking. And of course, it was obvious to me that you need one thing to get another new thing on the ground. So for instance, the internet was booming in this country at that time, early 90s. And that's because people already had computers, they had modems, they had telephone lines, they had other things on which a new idea can spread quickly. But that's the real problem in a poor country, where the other infrastructures have not been built, partly because of the centralization problem I'm talking about.